what is font size property? Well, font size property represents CSS property that we can use to set size of the font. Like a value for font size property, we can use exact units, for example, something like pixels, m values, points, etc. Also, we can use like font size value percentages, and in that case, size of the font will depend on size of original text. And also, we can use some of those predefined values. So we can use XX small, X small, smaller, small, medium, large, larger, X large, and XX large. Okay, let's go with some examples. Okay, for this part I have already prepared simple HTML document structure. Our HTML document has head and body, and inside of body we have three simple text paragraphs. Inside of head we have just title for our HTML document. I save this document like index.html on the desktop. So let's minimize our text editor. This is our index web page, so let's open it. And this is how our web page looks like for now. Okay, so first thing that I want to do for our text paragraphs, let's define class HTML attribute. Like value for first one, let's set something like big font. Okay, feel free to copy complete class HTML attribute from here. And let's paste it for our second paragraph. Okay, we just need to change big font to, let's say, medium font, for example. Okay. And let's do the same for our third paragraph. So let's paste our class HTML attribute. And let's set, instead of big font, small font. Okay. Now inside of our head, let's define style block where we're going to define all styles for this HTML document. So we want to create our class selectors. So we will start with the big font. As we know, class selectors always start with a dot, then big font. Then let's define declaration block. And inside of it, let's define font size CSS property. Like value for the first one, let's set 24 pixels, for example. Okay, now let's save these changes. Let's go back in our web browser and let's refresh it. So as you can see, we have set for our first text paragraph font size of 24 pixels. Let's do the same for our second paragraph. Let's define medium font class selector. Okay, let's define declaration block. Inside of it, let's define font size CSS property. Like value for this one, let's set, for example, 16 pixels. Okay, let's save the change. Let's go back in our browser and let's refresh it. Okay, so as you can see, nothing has happened. So let's analyze our web page. So let's click on the right click. Let's select inspect. On the right hand side where is code, let's click on the medium font paragraph. As you can see, we have font size class. So if we uncheck it or check it back, you can see that nothing is happening. But if we click on this value here and use arrows up and down to increase or decrease this value, you can see that font size is changing. So basically, initial value for our text was 16 pixels, so that is why we didn't see any change in the start. Okay, and let's do the same for our third paragraph. Let's define our small font class selector. Let's define declaration block, font size CSS property, and like a value for the third, let's set, for example, 8 pixels. Okay, let's save this change as well. Let's go back in our web browser and let's refresh it. So as you can see, for our third paragraph, we have set font size of 8 pixels. Okay, of course, anytime you can click on any paragraph here, and down here where we have font size, you can click on the value and use arrows up to increase or down to decrease this value to do some fine tunings if you need, of course. Also, instead of pixels, you can use other units. For example, let's set 2.4 M values. Or let's set something like 24 points. And also you can use percentages. All about these units we'll learn in units lesson. If you clear font size, you will get all predefined values that you can use. For example, from those lists, you can choose, let's say, something like small, smaller, X large, X small, XX large, XX small, and so on and so forth. So these are all predefined values that you can use for font size. Okay, so this is how we can use font size CSS property to set font size in your web pages, so feel free to play around with this. Thanks for watching this tutorial, and I hope this was helpful to you. If you like our work, please become our Patreon or simply donate or PayPal. Please remember, even a little from you means a lot for us. You can follow us on our Twitter and Instagram profiles, and please don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel, because on our YouTube channel, knowledge is waiting for you.